to see if y'all will join me singing while we wait for other people to join online. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary. One more time. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving. I'll be a living sanctuary for you. All right, looks like folks are able to join us. I'm gonna scoot this camera over here. There we go. Look, this is my non-burn side. So everybody, thank you for joining us today for our all parish meeting. We have quite a bit to cover in a short period of time, and hope that most of it will be entertaining and none of it boring. One can hope. So the Lord be with you. Let us pray. Loving and gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together both here and in homes. We give you thanks for the technology that has made that available. And we ask, Lord, that you be in the midst of us as we listen and reflect and look forward in the year to come. Bless our work, bless our gifts, and bless our time. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. So folks watching at home, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear? All right, good. All right, good. So this report went out via our announcements. It's also on our website. If you want to refer back to this at some point, feel free to do that. But I want to take a moment to welcome you all and say, what a strange year it's been. Still is, right? This time last year, we were all on Zoom. It was an interesting time. The reason why this is not an annual meeting is because the quorum is not met. And we don't have any way of letting folks vote when they're not in person. So when we are able to gather again in person, we will pass, or at least put up for a vote, an amendment that allows us to conduct business even when we're not all together in the building. But what we will do today is hear from the clergy, we'll hear from our wardens, we'll hear from our treasurer, we'll see the budget, the preliminary proposed budget for 2022, and we'll have a time for questions from folks gathered here and folks who have gathered at home. So are there any questions before we jump into this part of our time together? Anybody at home? Okay. So I'm going to, I'm going to ask that you at some point take a chance to read all the reports submitted. I'm a fan of everybody who had a chance to write a report, put the time and energy into it. But I want to, and this kind of talks about the year that we've had. But I want to take this opportunity to talk about the year to come. We start our new program here next week. And on that day, we will have an 8 o'clock outdoor worship service until the weather drives us inside. We'll have adult formation at 9:30 in the morning until 10:30. We'll have an online Zoom coffee hour between 10:35 and 10:55. And then we'll have our 11 o'clock worship. And that information is posted on our website as well, so if you need to refer back to it, feel free to do that. But then later in the day at 4:30, we will begin our weekly youth group meetings. That's open to folks who are in 6th grade through 12th grade. And I'll be working with our youth this year. And speaking of youth, we're going to have Sunday school together, but we're also going to have lots of fellowship in-person opportunities. And we're looking at a youth mission trip in July 2022. It's been a while since we've had a youth mission trip. So that's part of our plan for the year to come. And before we can go on a mission trip, we've got to spend some time building relationships and getting to know each other and praying together and discerning how God is at work in each of our lives. And that's not just true for 6th through 12th graders, that's true for all of us. So we're going to enter into a year, God willing, where the focus of what we do in ministry and worship is on relationship building. As we've spent a year and a half worshiping from home, we've missed out on a year and a half of connecting with one another in ways beyond worship. So the work of this church and the work of Jesus was rooted in relationships. And so I've already met with the co-chairs of our committees and the vestry. And the question that's going to come up a lot while we're doing our work together is, how does this help foster relationships? Because without relationships, we really don't have a body. So our body is going to focus on relationships. And I also want to tell you, I live in our neighborhood. And St. Anne's is a neighborhood parish, and I happen to be a neighbor in that parish, and so are several other folks in our congregation. As part of the neighborhood, a lot of what we're going to focus on is how do we extend that bridge out into our relationship, into our neighborhood, so that we're more than just a place where people come to vote. We want folks to come and have their organization meetings here. We want them to come and help keep our blessing spots stocked. We want them to come and walk the labyrinth and see us as an extension of their own home. We're not needing them to come and worship, although that would be awesome. But we do want them to know that we're not just a church unto ourselves, that we belong to them too. So that's going to be some of the work that we do in the year to come. Along those lines, we have been told, those who work in town, live in town and country and the surrounding neighborhood, that there is on the horizon a housing community, 219 houses that are getting ready to be built off of Ransom Road. My backyard. But it's the kind of housing that Winston-Salem needs. First-time homeowner homes. So our job we're going to be the first church a lot of these people see or have any clue that it exists. So we need to be prepared to welcome them and to be in relationship with them. There is no coincidence that right now on Renolda Road, there are 3 non-denominational big churches, either in place or on the way. They knew this ahead of time, and they're preparing to be a place for people to come and worship. We need to be doing the same. And not just because this neighborhood is going up, but because that's what we're meant to do. We need to be ready to welcome and walk with, and nurture, and be in a relationship with not just this new neighborhood, but anybody in the neighborhood. And so that's another area of work that we're going to be exploring in the year to come. And it's very difficult to navigate. How do you do this from 6 feet away and with masks on? But I am convinced that if we pray and we seek God and we ask God to be a part of our ministry, that God will show us how, when, and why we can, how to do the work before us. So if you hear me ask one too many times, it's not enough. Where is the relationship in this? So friends, that as your rector, that's where my energy is going to be, and I ask that you also partake in this preparation for making welcome anyone who drives by the church, anybody who stops by the church. And I'll be actively asking folks if they want to use our space to meet, because we have an amazing space. It's not used nearly enough. But if the hospitality of St. Anne's is extended to P-flat when they're here, or the shake note singers when they're here, the dulcimer orchestra when they're here, or you can vote right up the hallway, we are again moving into our mission, the mission of St. Anne's. So if you hear of a group that needs a meeting space, don't be shy. Invite them over. Let them come and see what's available for them here. It's not good for this space to sit dormant. It's not good use of our gifts or good stewardship of our facilities. Probably have 100 other things I want to tell you. I do want to say it has been a hard year. We've had some significant challenges. We've had some growing pains. We've had some opportunities to do better. And I am grateful to the leadership of our vestry who have navigated these waters with faith and conviction. We wouldn't be where we are today without the leadership of all of the vestry members, but in particular of our senior warden, Julie Risher, and our junior warden, Debbie Walker. You two have been so instrumental in keeping us together and keeping us moving and keeping us doing the work that we're called to do. It's not an easy job to take on that role any year, but in a year where we have a pandemic and technology and funding and lots of policy and procedure that needs to get written and approved, I give great thanks to Julie Risher and her work as our senior warden, and I will invite you all to show your appreciation. Also known as the Rector's Warden, and in relationship with Julie, we have had an incredible year of figuring out how to work together, how to do the work faithfully, and how to find the humor in all of it. Thank you for that. And Debbie's work, Debbie is also known as the People's Warden and the Junior Warden. position, and Debbie has done an excellent job of keeping us coordinated and connected. So also, I invite you to give thanks to Nancy Young is our treasurer, and we're trying really hard to give her a break so that she can roll off of that job. If you would discern something that for the next week or so, discern whether or not it's time for you to step into the role as our treasurer here. I understand that it's not nearly as difficult as it may seem, and you'll have a lineage of people to help you figure that role out. So, Nancy, thank you for keeping us above water and for keeping us all in tune with what kind of work we can do with the resources that we have. So please also give your thanks to you. It's fun to be in ministry with deacons, and this year Mary and Pam have been so giving of their time and energy and their gifts, and have helped me do worship and liturgy in a way that expands the table. So thank you both, Pam and Mary, for your service here and the gifts that you offer. So looking ahead, you can expect that we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about finding time to connect in many different ways. And you're going to be invited to maybe go outside your comfort zone, but I can attest to the fact that God lives with us outside of our comfort zone. So with that, I think I will invite, let's see, who's up on the list next? We have a deacon's report. Either deacon want to offer their report, or you want to submit it as written?
We submitted it.
Okay, so the deacons have submitted their report as written. And now we're going to invite our senior warden, Julie Risher, up to offer an address.
Thank you. Oh, yeah. I'm glad all that money I paid you during the year to bribe you to say something nice at the end.
What? Can we lose the volume declare what people shut so they can't really hear?
I can.
I'll bet if I start singing, they'll change their mind about that.
Yeah, we're up all the way.
Okay.
We just have to talk into the mic a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Just ask them to let us know if that's better than talk right into it. Okay, so I wanted to go with my report and submit it, but Jenny told me I couldn't do that, so I had to say something. And I've gotten out of the practice of giving speeches, so I Googled famous speeches. And so you swore, and 16 years ago. Okay. I'm so glad to welcome you all to this gathering. And when we were sitting, when we started, Mary and Warden, Calvin, former senior warden, and I were talking about, how parish meetings, our annual meetings, used to run. And of course, this is an annual meeting through another forum, but it feels really strange, but just like everything else in this pandemic, it feels strange because it is strange. And I will say that this is the second year that we haven't been able to have an annual meeting. And we're on the eve of another dark time with this virus. We're tired, we're disconnected. Our healthcare workers and our teachers are exhausted. And we're on a journey, kind of like the Israelites in the wilderness. But remember, God didn't leave them alone and desolate. He got them and led them. It wasn't a walk in the park, but God was faithful. And as St. Paul wrote, if God be for us, who can be against us? So our street spirit at this church is strong, and You know, we have a job to do and a mission to fulfill. And Jenny alluded to that a bit. We are resilient, and we as a church will continue to meet our call to worship, to be in community, and to work for justice. Because that's who we are, that's what we do. And if you give us another job to do, we might try it, but these are the jobs that we do. So let's talk about community. My challenge to all of us is to, now that we're not on Zoom, you know, now that we're on Facebook and live streaming, not always certain who's here and who's not. But if there's somebody who used to be sitting in a chair next to you, or a row in front, or a row behind, and you haven't seen them, you know, just check in with them. Not in terms of the truancy, because why aren't you in church? Please follow excuse. But we are all about community, and nothing feels worse than to move to the side of the community and move to the edge and nobody notices. That's, you know, so let's look out for one another. And let's go ahead and talk about technology, because I can tell you, I've heard a lot about technology this year. Jenny and Barbie got us through the early part of this year, and I don't know how many of you are aware of what all went on, but Jenny was recovering from a very serious illness, and Barbie was our techie from their living room with the assistance of Martin from time to time, their dog. But you know, Zoom was a mess. Zoom is built for meetings. It is not built for worship. And it just, you know, we learned that time and time again. And the thing that was really amazing is that throughout this year, I don't think we've had the same technology problem 2 Sundays in a row. It has been different every time. It's like the god of computers is up there going, okay, this one didn't get a ping, okay, throw it up. I mean, it really has just been, it's been a time. And I would be very remiss if I did not recognize, although I mentioned them in my report, Daryl is here, and Jason, I think you're listening remotely. Those 2 folks, in addition to being on vestry, have really shouldered the path toward technology and how we continue to worship as a community in the middle of it. I think Sharon's on the way to recruiting just about every youth in the church to join in. So, and you know, I get the frustration, I do. And we have some people who don't have the tech skills to worship remotely. It broke my heart when, as a vestry, all the vestry members are called parishioners. And I called a parishioner who's been a long time member of this church. And he said, well, I can't figure out how to do the Zoom thing. And I said, well, this is when we were still in Zoom. And I said, well, you know, I'll be glad to come over and show you how to do it. And she said, I'm going to just stick with the TV preacher I found. And that just broke my heart, because this pandemic has removed this woman from her church family. So anyway, never a lawyer on microphone. But, and then a lot of people don't feel comfortable worshiping in person. And I've heard from people who aren't crazy about the screens. When last year's vestry voted, this was summer of 2020. Summer of 2020. You know, we voted on a contract that included screens because that was the science at the time. And, you know, who knows which way this pandemic is going next, but the vestry made the best decision they could at that time. And as we head into a certain fall with the Delta variant, you're trying to tell me I'm talking too long? Okay. Then I lost my place. Okay, as Paul with the Delta variant, we may be there again, and the streets may be terrible. That's connected as a parish family, I hope so. But let's remember what we're about. When I first came to St. Anne's of the folding chairs 22 years ago, I didn't like everything, including the chairs. But let's consider why we had the chairs. We had the chairs. So we didn't have this building, for those of you who weren't here, we didn't have this building at that point. We were just in this building, and we were running a daycare with an emphasis on it being affordable for low-income families. And we had the folding chairs because we fed the kids in the day during the week. And then our night became a cafeteria, for lack of a better word. And those chairs, I soon realized, are a symbol of who we are. And so I didn't like it, but it's about our ministry and our outreach. And I'm still here because I have a strong dedication to worship, justice, and community. And I love a church that serves Christ by their actions. And our mission statement says it all, knowing that all things come from God, we seek to manifest the love of Christ through worship, justice, and community. And will you give me an amen back there, man? Okay, and I've had the privilege of seeing this happen on so many fronts during this. Oh, I get to start over again, right? During this pandemic year. This sounds better too. Anyway, all I want to say is that this has been a year, but y'all, we're still here, and we are adapting. Thank God that we have Jenny and her technical skills and her ability to go. And I will say, I think one thing she's learned in this pandemic is that good enough is great sometimes. Jenny, I just really want to thank you. It's a challenge to have an extrovert senior warden and an introvert priest, but we worked it out. And so thank you all. And thanks for being St. Anne's, and I can't wait to see what God's going to do here in the coming year. Thanks.
So I would like to invite Debbie to come up and offer her report as our junior warden. And this is a lot better for the people at home than the other one was, which is why I thought it out. Not because I was bored.
I can't tell you what an honor it's been this year to work with Julie and Jenny and the rest of the vestry and Susan Conley, who's not here, but she's the clerk and she's on the executive committee, and Nancy. It really has, it's made a tough year much easier because of the personalities that we had and the people that were just willing to meet time and time again. So it's really been an honor. So thanks to all of you. Julie gave a wonderful report about what's been going on. I can tell you that the vestry met these challenges that we faced with the plum. We just, we did what we had to do, and we weathered the storm and continuing to weather the storm. So in my role as junior warden, I work with the committees of the people of the church. And your participation in the corporate life of St. Anne's means that we, St. Anne's and the wider community, knows that we are actively caring for God's people. In times like these, we know that there are certainly some people who are skeptical about gathering in person, and we certainly understand that, as we mentioned previously. That doesn't mean we can't participate. Consider perhaps the pastoral care committee. All of you have probably at some point or another asked for prayers for someone or for you or for some reason, and the pastoral care committee sends emails out and people will pray, but also they'll call and follow up. And so that is something that you certainly can do from home. You don't have to be at the church to do it. So there's a way that you can help. Who doesn't like getting a call from somebody to see how you're doing? It really makes a huge difference to people. No matter how small you think your problem was or is, it still helps to have those people call and check on you. So think about helping in that way. Committee meetings are usually online now. We have been, we are certainly working on the goal of getting back in person, but even then we'll probably do a hybrid, where we'll meet here, some people might be here and some people might be at home, so you can certainly join any committee. We've had all of our outreach committee meetings online this year, and we did a huge number of outreach events and things like that. So the Policy and Personnel Committee, for those of you who don't know, there's an active Policy and Personnel Committee that work on things that you don't hear much about in the church, but are necessary for the work of the church. And as I mentioned, the Outreach Committee has done a lot of things. Buildings and Grounds has kept this place looking nice, but we also, Ryan Phillips, who's chair of the committee, built a blessing box that's outside, and in conjunction with Bread and Blessings, they have put in short order, put the box up, and it remains stocked, thanks to you. And so that's how you're participating in the church. Technology Committee, as mentioned, has done a yeoman's job of keeping us going and keeping us connected. And the Christian Formation Committee, a la the rector, has pivoted and turned on a dime's notice to do whatever needed to be done to get for our worship. And that is a feat that is only thanks to Jenny that happened. So without all the committees working together, I don't believe that we would be in as good a position as we are today. So when you see the chairs of the committees, please be sure to thank them, either in person or online. They are Bread and Blessings, Carolyn Miracle, who is active in getting us our lunch today, our picnic today, and her committee was here working really hard. Buildings and Grounds is Ryan Phillips. Christian Formation is Jenny Wilder. Finance is Nancy Young. Outreach are Albie Duvally and Julie Dubison. Pastoral Care is Mary Cruz. Policy and Personnel is Hobby Elliott. Stewardship is Robin Baird this past year, but she, as you know, has left. So that's to be determined, and if you feel called to something like that, please let us know. And then Technology is Jason Wilkinson. So there are opportunities that abound for you to participate in the life of these committees. Looking forward, you can rest assured that we have in place these committee chairs who are willing and ready to help the church share the love of Christ internally and with the wider world. During the Zoom planning committee that Jenny has alluded to, there was a lot of enthusiasm and commitment about the coming year. Every single committee chair was there on time. It was just really I was very excited about that. They know the importance of staying connected to each other. I feel sure that they will be good stewards of the time and talents of all of you, our parishioners. And if you want to join in the committees, as I said, reach out. Caring for others never stops. And we at St. Anne's have not let this pandemic stop us. Your continued support of all that is St. Anne's will mean that we continue to make a difference in the lives of those we love here at St. Anne's and in Winston-Salem and the surrounding areas. So please join us in any way you can. If you have any questions, any one of us will be good. Jenny and Julie and myself and the new vestry members will be glad to help. Coach, right, she and Julie are co-chair. Oh, pastor, oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, okay, thank you. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Are there any committee chairs who would like to offer their remarks at this time, or would you prefer to just have the reports as submitted? As submitted, okay.
Before we go on to our next point of business, which is the 2022 budget, I also want to give thanks to Bob Campbell and Heather Morgan. These two folks ran for vestry a couple of years ago, and in October will complete their 3-year term. And I am just so grateful to Heather and to Bob and Julie, who all three are rolling off the vestry. You had no idea what you were in for when you answered yes to that call. And we are so grateful and blessed by your presence and your gifts. And please hear from me that you deserve a rest and a break. So I won't call you up for anything until January 1st, 2022. All right. I would like to invite our treasurer, Nancy Young, up to the podium. I have a budget that I can show.
I was hoping you had a budget.
Yes, okay. If it's what you sent me. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna go look that up real quick.
No,
Okay.
it's the one you called in.
Yep. Let me see.
While she's doing that, just so you guys understand, I'm a words person, not a numbers person. So being treasurer has been an interesting learning experience, and if I can do it, anybody can do it. Couple things I want to share while she's looking at that. When I came on as treasurer, Paige French did something remarkable. Not only did she and Marlene Druga help me understand how I could do this, but Paige told me, she said, you know, you're gonna have to watch the money tightly, but money's not gonna be the issue that you think it's gonna be at St. Anne's. Because St. Anne's people give her their time, their talent, and their treasure. And that has been so true as we've gone into each new budget year. And I want to share with you, one of the things the diocese has been doing is these little group meetings for senior warden and treasurer, and I've been going. And when the treasurer session is over, I sit there in front of the stupid computer and don't know which I feel the most, pride or guilt, because I listen to churches smaller than us, churches our size, and churches bigger than us who are struggling. They're struggling financially, and they're struggling with getting people involved. And I think we are so fortunate to be at St. Anne's and to be in a group of people who care not only about each other, not only about their spiritual growth, but about living into that spiritual growth. So, thank you.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
This year's budget, 2021, was tight. It was less than 2020 because we saw what was going on in 2020, and we knew what was going to continue in 2021. 2022 is just as big a mystery. So again, we have a tight budget. I can't even call this a preliminary budget because it's too early. This is just what we're going to start working with. Until we see where we are when stewardship finishes, we get our pledges in. But we got to start somewhere. The revenue and the expenses are pretty much based on looking at where we were through July and trying to guess where we'll be by the end of the year. So you'll notice that for next year, we're looking at a reduction in revenue offsetting the reduction in expenses.
Sorry, I'm having to do that again. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. I didn't know if I had the right one or not.
Nancy, is this information available?
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah,
Would we find it at the website?
Yes, there was a link. No, it's on the website, and what we'll do is send out a link to everybody after the meeting, okay?
yeah, because she had it in one of the, in the
Yeah.
announcement with the agenda or something, because I saw it. And all the reports, with the annual report, it would come out with the annual report, but yeah. So again, like I said, this is just where we are working on it now. The biggest reduction in expenses is on comp and benefits, and that has to do with not having a youth director. One of the things, once the staff gets no raises. So I will tell you, if we end up having a good stewardship campaign and money, I'm gonna, as treasurer or not, I'm gonna recommend we look at increases for our staff. Now, there's the one exception, and Jenny, I want to talk about that. This is why I love Jenny Wilder. She came to me and said, I need to know if we can do something. And that's our nursery workers. They make $12.50 an hour. And she wanted to know if we could up them to 15, because it's all about not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. And if we tell other people that they need to have a $15 an hour
Living wage.
living wage, then we gotta have a $15 an hour living wage. And so we adjusted and we were able to do that. But again, that also is because Mark, David, Laura, and Jenny won't be getting raises unless we get some money in. So that's where we are. We will continue to work and adjust, and as we see where we are this year, looking to next year. But I will tell you, when you look at what we have in restricted funds, our new general reserve fund with the common trust, where we are in just the financial giving of this community, we are so fortunate, and I want to say thank you to everybody for that. And if there are any questions, I will be glad to tell you what I know at this point, because that's all it is at this point.
Yeah, are you good?
I'm
All
good.
right, good. Thank you. Looking ahead, no one can predict what it's going to be like in 2022. As much as we've been through, not just as a church, but as a community, it's easily understood that nothing is for certain in the future. You know, it's hard to make a plan on shifting the sand. But the commitment from the leadership at St. Anne's is to do everything in our power to protect you, to safeguard you, to challenge you, and to listen. So as we look ahead, we've talked about preparing for the growth that's going to happen right here in our neck of the woods. And I saw some questions online. And Gina Jarrett is also a neighbor here in the community. The new neighborhood is going to be built on Young Acres Farm. So if you go down Ransom and there's a farm out there on the right, that's where the housing development is going. So as we look to the future, we also need to prepare our space to welcome our new neighbors. And I also think that there are plenty of things we can be doing to connect to one another as we prepare for the welcoming of our neighbors. And I'm not asking anybody today to commit, but one of the things I would like to do as we embark on this journey of 2022 is to sit with a group of people who call St. Anne's their spiritual home and pray. It's not centering prayer, but it be prayerful time to pray for the body of St. Anne's. To join me in that prayer, to listen and to lift up this entire community as we continue to grapple with this ongoing pandemic. The second group of people I want to gather with is to sit and help prepare St. Anne's for your rector's sabbatical. It takes about a year to plan for that. And the type of planning I want to do will be to incorporate this overarching feeling of it's not just my renewal time, but it's a time of renewal for the whole congregation. So if you are interested in helping to prepare the parish for that, and especially if you're good at grant writing, I would love to have some time to meet with you all as we prepare. I'm looking at spring of 2023. Okay? But looking ahead closer in, I'm excited about what the year holds for us, this new program year. I'm excited about the formation opportunities that we have. I'm excited to have Reverend Deacon Pam Haynes with us as another deacon among us to offer a few adult formation classes that mix her passion with our presence. I'm excited about Reverend Deacon Mary Cruz continuing to offer children's chapel. Y'all, that video is on our Facebook page and YouTube, and it's on your YouTube page. Sometimes I will watch that just to make sure I'm on the right page for a sermon. So check it out. It's called Children's Chapel, but aren't we all children of God? And I'm excited about being with the youth and talking about God and faith and where real life and real faith intersect. And I'm excited about the growth that they get to experience in the year to come. And I'm excited that we are about to embark on this whole new journey. And I encourage you to discern in your heart, how do you best want to use your gifts in ministry here at St. Anne's and in the broader community? I'm excited that and pray for the day that our choir can return. It is unbelievable how wonderful it is to have a choir like we do. And it's been hard to not hear their voices joining ours as we lift up praise and song. I'm excited about the joy. Today, for folks who are joining us in from home, we're grateful that you're here and that you're tuning in. And this is the way we're going to be doing formation in the year to come. So you at home can participate as much as someone here in the building. And again, technology makes this possible. It's not always going to be smooth. It wasn't smooth earlier. You couldn't hear us. But I'm joyful and grateful for your flexibility and your nimbleness. I'm also grateful for, I'm going to ask these folks to stand up. Normally we would do a vestry election, but because we don't have a quorum, we cannot vote on anything. But the diocese has made a plan so that we can allow those whose terms are expiring to roll off and to include 3 new folks into our vestry. So joining us as the class of 2024, we have Carmen Caruth. And Carmen, can you come and just let folks at home see you by looking at this camera right here? And this is Carmen, everybody. Hold on. Yeah, right there. There's Carmen. Just wave it on. also have Stan Nyberg, who is joining the vestry. And Donna Williams is online. She's the one in the first box up there with the red shirt on, so we are grateful for Donna Williams. Thank you all. Thank you all so much for offering your gifts and time. It's going to be unlike any vestry you've ever served on. So that's where we are, where we're headed. It's about relationship and connection. It's about remembering that we belong to each other. And it's about remembering that we are all God's beloved children. So let's prepare our house to welcome our neighbors and remember that we are walking this journey together. And at this time, if there are no other remarks that need to be made, then I have one more piece of information before we begin our question and answer. It is a joy to serve this church. I still pinch myself every day that this is the church I get to serve. And I am eager to continue to grow with y'all and be stretched by you and to be in awe of God here among us in worship and in community. And one of the joys of serving St. Anne's is getting to know people and having the opportunity to slow down and truly be in awe. And I want to give my heartfelt thanks to Julie Risher for all that you've given this church, not in this, just in this past year, but your faithfulness and your steadfastness, the use of your gifts and humor, your desire and ability to step in and be present in many different ways. And when Julie's not offering herself here among us in church, she's out there in the community also offering her gifts. And she is a model of what it means to live your faith. And so I know you didn't want this to happen, but it's gonna happen, Julie. I would like to present Julie the St. Anne's Cross.
Never make an agreement with Wilder.
So at this time, I am going to step behind the computer so I can monitor the chat. Are there any questions here? Any questions y'all have? Friends at home, do you have any questions you'd like to ask? Okay. No questions? Okay. It's a beautiful day. I don't want to hold you any longer than your patience is already offered. So please know that if you get home and you're like, I have this question, I should have asked it, email me. I will be out of the office tomorrow. I'm taking a day of rest in preparation for the program here. Just one day. But I will answer your email on Tuesday. My goodness, y'all. What a heck of a year it's been. Here's to hoping that the year to come is filled with as much grace and love that this year has been filled with. And so let us pray. Present Dear Lord, as we depart this place, nourished on the body and blood of your Son, soul food, heart food, mind food. Help us, Lord, to be energized, to be your hands and feet in this beautiful and broken world. All this we ask in your holy and precious name. Amen. Mary, will you dismiss us, please?
Sure.
Let us go in peace to love and serve the Lord.
Thanks be to God. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Thank you, everybody. Take care and God bless you.